Hello, Dolphin Nation, and we're here to talk some more training camp from Miami Dolphins. Welcome to Finn's Temporal Focus. Not good news on the injury report. We are dropping like flies as if we didn't have enough problems in the secondary. We are officially today a whole new defensive backfield because Kader Kohu, Darth Kader, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I don't know who came up with that name, but I remember seeing it on the internet. They even had like some little pictures and stuff with him with a lightsaber. He was Darth Kader. Awesome. But he is gone for the year. Officially, he is out. It was a partial tear to his ACL, and Kader Kohu is gone. The last of our starters from a year ago, with Fuller, Poyer, Ramsey, Holland, all gone. And now Kohu's gone. So it's time for guys to step up. Ashton Davis also went down. I'm sorry, Anthony Davis, not Ashton. Anthony Davis went down. Non-contact injury, but not season-ending. He should be okay for the beginning of the season. May not play any preseason. If he does, maybe the last preseason game, just a few plays to kind of, get some reps. But it is not looking good. So we're going to be going into the season right now, unless they sign somebody, which we do have some. If you watched my last video, which I don't think many did, but we did end up, after we restructured Minka, we ended up with like 11 million. So we do have some cap space where we can bring in somebody at the cornerback position. But right now you're looking at Storm Duck, Mike Hilton, Jason Marshall Jr., Cam Smith, Ethan Bonner is kind of the front runners that's left. And Mike Hilton, who we just signed, I don't know if they'll move him to the slot. I mean, he's older. He's 31, 32. May still have to keep him as that slot guy or that nickel corner. They may try to move him out to the boundary, but right now I have no. Going from what I've heard from training camp, we're probably going to be riding with Storm Duck on one side, but the other side is completely and utterly open. We really have no idea. I know Jason Marshall Jr. looked good early in training camp, but really haven't heard much about him lately, other than he has been burned a few times. So I don't know where we go, guys. Comment in the section below. Maybe time to pull out at least put Minka Fitzpatrick in bubble wrap, and we've got to hang on to him, especially right now. But as I said, Anthony Davis also non-contact, not season ending, so we at least still should have him with our safety group. Guys that are making noise in training camp. Oh, and on the injury front, we did get a little good news. Jaden Daniels has been cleared. He came off an injury last year. We picked him up, and he's been cleared. And apparently, he had really good reps yesterday with on the one-on-ones. So Jaden Daniels looking forward to seeing what he can do. Probably at the way they're talking, the right guard position, which means if that's the route they go, then you're literally going to have Patrick Paul and Jonah Savanaya, I believe is the way you pronounce it. But Savanaya is the way I've been pronouncing it. We'll see, because they'll bring out, once the season starts, they'll all pronounce their names, and I'd like to hear him pronounce it so I can pronounce it right. So Jonah, if you're listening, sorry about butchering your name, but as soon as you say it, I will get it. Promise. But it looks like it's going to be Jonah and Patrick Paul on that left side. Now, that's not been the case since like 1990, which worked out really well. Keith Sims and Richmond Webb. Richmond Webb started as a rookie. About halfway through the season, I think Keith Sims took over the left guard spot. So hopefully this one works just as good. Of course, it would be the opposite side for the Dolphins then, because Danny was obviously a right-handed quarterback. Tua being left-handed, it's the right side that is his blind side. So and going from what they've said in training camp, Patrick and Jonah working pretty good together. They got a good double team on Sealer, and kind of kept him down because he was apparently running roughshod early on in camp. Especially I think Jonah is the one-on-one actually took Sealer to the ground, and of course, and apparently Patrick Paul done very well on Bradley Chubb. So, which that's one of the things I want to talk about too. Once they've put the pads on, they've had 2 practices with pads. Going from everything I've heard, Patrick Paul has been a different beast with pads on. I know early in training camp, Bradley Chubb was really feeding on Patrick Paul. There was a lot of talk. Oh, well, Chubb is really working on Patrick Paul, just basically taking his lunch money. And but since the pads have come on, it's been a whole new ball game, and Patrick Paul has held his own very well. And it is just training camp. We'll see how it unfolds once we get to preseason. But a lot of praise coming out of camp for Patrick Paul once they have put the pads on. Absolutely monster of a man for guys to get around. And apparently they haven't the last couple of practices. So anyway, good news on the Jaden Daniels front. Good news on Patrick Paul having a really good camp. The other standout through camp so far has been Willie Gay Jr. Has had an absolute monster camp with sack after sack, defensive breakups. He has been all over the field. If you listen to Omar Kelly, he has talked about the fact that this dude is like a sponge and just soaking in every opportunity that he's getting. So Willie Gay Jr., and then he had the big scream early in, which is all over the internet, the whole big screaming his head off. Really fun. Mike McDaniels talked about how he brings the energy every practice, and the guys are just feeding off that. So shout out to Willie Gay Jr. for having a really good training camp, apparently. And speaking of Mike McDaniel, during his presser, he did say that apparently right now anyway, there is no competition for the number 2 quarterback spot. McDaniel has basically said is Zach Wilson is going to be our number 2 going into the season, and that they would keep an eye on Ewers to see if he can make it a competition, which I know Ewers has played really good. Some people have said he's outplayed Zach Wilson, but now Zach Wilson has played really well the last 2 practices as well. So, and I think you have to read in between the lines as well and say, if Miami wasn't giving Zach Wilson $6 million, would this be more of an open competition? But they are giving Zach $6 million, and as long as it's close, Zach is going to be the guy. The only way I think Ewers, he would have to come in during preseason and just absolutely light it up compared to Zach. And then maybe by the 3rd preseason, McDaniel may have to rethink things. But going into the season, for everybody that's like, oh, the only quarterback competition is going to be at the number 2 spot, apparently not. And for all of you Tua haters that's going to leave, well, Tua should be in competition for that number 2 spot. Yeah, bite me. So moving along, another big thing, the veterans apparently have been telling the rookies, hey, you can't be a rookie. We need you to step up. We need you to step up now. There is no tomorrow. And we'll see how they respond. But I think it's really cool that the veterans are realizing these young players are in a situation they're going to have to step up. It's their time. It's their time to bring it. Now I know Kenneth Grant. Man, everybody has been talking about Kenneth Grant and what he's done in training camp, and it's the subtle things he's done in training camp. Absolute, just plugging spots that people just cannot get through. Running backs cannot get through. Just absolutely, they're not moving him. So Kenneth Grant apparently having really good camp. Matt Dickerson is another name that has been popping up. I don't really know. I had to actually look up Matt Dickerson. I had no idea, but he's a defensive lineman. He's played defensive end and defensive tackle. He played with, I believe, I looked it up, but I didn't write it down. So I think it was the Patriots last year. Maybe Tennessee was the other team that he had played with. Or that may have been Willie Gay Jr. But anyway, he's only a 5-year guy. But he's winning a lot of one-on-ones. And again, if you follow Omar Kelly or check out Omar Kelly, who's a great beat writer to columnist to keep up with the Dolphins. He does a tremendous job. He's been doing it forever. And he's been really impressed. And if you follow Omar Kelly, you know that if he bothers to learn your name, then there's probably something to keep your eye on. Because during training camp, he's been very public about You know, most of these guys, I don't even bother to try and look up their name or check out their name. Um, and he's mentioning this guy, Matt Dickerson, by name. So he's learned his name and has really been impressed. Now, I haven't seen any footage on him, but it's his name has come up, not just Omar Kelly, but his name has popped up during training camp talks quite a few times. But that's basically in a nutshell. Everybody else now, I know Waddle got the orange jersey this past practice, who's been absolutely solid all practice. I don't know if it's been outstanding, but he's been absolutely solid, and really came in. I even mentioned it in the video. Coming into training camp, he just looked like a man possessed. But Tua has had a really good training camp. Not a single ball picked off. Lots been made of that. But also looking at our defensive backfield, I don't know how much can be made of that. So we're not going to know until they play Chicago. Because I'm pretty sure they have a joint practice with Chicago. Yeah, I think they have 2 joint practices, and I think one is with Chicago, and the other is with, let me see real quick. I know I wrote it down. If I can find the season. Real quick. Jacksonville. I believe they're having Chicago and Jacksonville. Or it's Detroit and Jacksonville, but I'm almost positive they're doing a joint practice with Chicago. So that being said, we'll see for sure during that joint practice of how sharp Tua is, which Tua always has good training camps. His efficiency has never been an issue. It has always been his injury issues, which I'm sure everybody's tired of talking about. But you know, this is kind of it for him. He's either got to grasp it this year, or they're probably going to turn the page. And as much as I love Tua, I think he is I think he's a good quarterback, and but I do think he's one of those guys. He's a Joe Montana. He's one of those guys, you got to have everything around. You know, Joe didn't have all the talent in the world, but he went to 4 Super Bowls because they had the talent around him to make him great. He went from good to great. And no disrespect to Joe Montana. He's a great quarterback. Let me emphasize that. But he didn't come in great. He went from a good quarterback to all of a sudden having all these weapons and everything laid out for him to cook his meal, and he went to great, easily to great. And I think that's what Tua's got to have. I don't think Tua's not a guy that's going to just throw the team on his back and ride, but if you put the pieces around him, I think he's a guy that can get it done. And I didn't even want Tua when we drafted him. I'll be the first to say I didn't want him. And, you know, because I am one of those that's in love with the strong arm. And I didn't see a strong arm with Tua. And also, in college, I felt like he was throwing to wide open receivers. I needed to see more receivers being covered and him still hitting him. But since he's gotten to the league, that's not even an issue anymore. He can fit. He's as accurate as they come, and having another great training camp, which he always has a great training camp. But we'll see how that works out with the Bears. The only real other news is Zach Sealer, and that is, please pay this man. Plus, we need defensive back help. We really need to sign some more guys. And don't get me wrong, maybe one or two of these guys come out of nowhere to where we're just going, oh my God, Ethan Bonner, where did you come from? Or even Cam Smith. I mean, everybody's kind of down on Cam Smith, but maybe somehow he turns it around, and that would be great. But we have to look at it on paper right now. And because on the field, nothing has really stood out. There's been some plays. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Bonner had a big breakup that Mike McDaniel just apparently just lost it on. It was the greatest thing in the world. But, you know, we've seen Bonner get beat enough to know he may get some playing time, but he's not going to be our starter. At least I don't think he'll be our starter. Who knows? He could turn it around. What do I know? I'm a guy from Kentucky with an accent. Figure it out. But I personally, everything I do is by eyes. You know, these right here. You either see it or you don't. But gotta sign him, and reports are coming out that they're hoping to have him signed by the beginning of the season. And maybe they'll try to move that up a little bit just because of the fact with Kader going down. If they're going to get somebody in here to camp, they need to get somebody in here so they can get acclimated to the system and let Weaver work with them and get them adjusted. Or unless there's somebody out there who's worked in the system that Weaver runs. You know, you could go either way. But Sealer deserves to be paid regardless. He's been an absolute dream on this football team. So yeah, pay the man. But like I said, guys, make good decisions. Miami Dolphins, get that bubble wrap out and make some good decisions of your own. And hey, fins up, baby. Fins up.